Good morning, Phil Thatch here, and I'm at the Chickamauga Dam on the Tennessee River, and today I'll be making some photographs and video of tree swallows that are here all the way from South America. They come here every year. There's some birdhouses that have been erected along the walking path here, and the tree swallows are using them to breed. And it's pretty cool because there's a walking path right here. As a matter of fact, the camera that's making this video is sitting right beside the walking path. So people come back and forth right here beside these birdhouses all the time. So the tree swallows are fairly used to people being around. So you can get pretty close. I mean, you can't walk right up and touch them or anything, but you can get close enough to fill the frame with them with a decent telephoto lens. So I'm going to make some video for you and maybe get some stills, and we'll check it out soon. Okay, so right there is the dam, and you may be able to see my camera in the frame. And here is the Tennessee River, and there's the Ten Bridge Railroad Bridge. And right there is the birdhouse with two tree swallows on it, and they've been hanging around in that tree that's right above it too. And then right here, the concrete before the asphalt, there is the walking path. So you can see these birds are used to having people around, and you can get pretty close to them. Other places you might see a tree swallow, I don't think you would be able to get this close. Well, there is a tree swallow in a tree, and do you remember that railroad bridge I was showing you just a moment ago? Well, check this out. There are four kinds of swallows that you might see in this area: tree swallows, rough wing swallows, which is what this is, barn swallows, and cliff swallows. But this is a rough wing swallow. I saw a pair of them that was hanging around this same tree right by the birdhouse where the tree swallows were hanging around. And I have to admit, I can't get enough of tree swallow in the tree with the slightly out of focus train going by in the background. So this is the first of many shots of the tree swallow actually on the birdhouse, and these birdhouses are getting older and older, and they're really starting to get kind of worn in looking, with moss and things growing on them. And here's a pretty close-up shot of one of the tree swallows in the tree. This is probably with the Z6 in DX mode for 750 millimeters equivalent. This is actually both of the tree swallows in the tree, although I only have one of them in the frame. And I'm not sure, both of these birds are banded, and I'm not sure if that band has a transmitter on it. It's definitely larger than the standard band that you see on tree swallows. I like to experiment with backgrounds. You know, you kind of look at these tree swallows and you pretty much just have one shot basically on the birdhouse, but if you aim your camera just right, you can point it at the concrete that holds up that railroad bridge, and the concrete has rust all over it where the rust from the railroad bridge is drained down the concrete. Look at the depth of field there. One bird completely in focus and one bird way out of focus, but that background is rust on the concrete piling that holds up the railroad bridge. And then a woodpecker showed up. Same tree where the swallows have been hanging around, and the rough-winged swallow and the tree swallow, and all of a sudden this woodpecker shows up. And you know, 99% of the time when I see a woodpecker like this, or actually 100% of the time for me, I think it is a downy woodpecker, but this one appears to have a little bit longer beak. So this could be the first hairy woodpecker that I've ever seen. So if you feel like this is a hairy woodpecker and not a downy woodpecker, I would really appreciate it if you would leave me a comment. The hairy woodpecker is supposed to be bigger, and I don't recall the size. I was just so excited to see it and get some video of it here on the tree. I don't recall noticing it being notably larger than a downy. It's definitely a male, but I don't know the species. And here's some stills of it. That picture of the head's in focus and the rest of the bird is not. I'm at f4. If it's a downy, my girlfriend Heather calls this an upside downy. But look how long the beak is. Maybe it's a hairy. I don't know. You tell me. Here's the third and final still photo of the woodpecker. And now let's get back to swallows. Tree swallow in a tree. Here's two of them, and that's the railroad bridge in the background. And look at the bokeh balls of the out of focus areas. And look at the Tennessee River rolling. They had a few of the spillways flowing, but not all of them. This may be my favorite photograph. This is probably my two favorite photograph. That's number 2. And my favorite photograph of the day is probably this one. The only problem I have with it is that branch just above the tree swallow's head there, even though it's very out of focus. It's a little distracting. I like this one quite a bit too, but there's also a branch behind it that's distracting. I like that it is singing in that one. And there is probably the best view of that band on this one. Now you see these great blue heron fishing along the banks of the Tennessee River quite a bit, and there were a couple of osprey flying around and doing some fishing, although I never did see one dive and make a catch. But I did get a little bit of video of this one as it circled. And here's another great blue heron. And now we'll get back to the subject of this video, which is tree swallows. I'm fascinated by how beautiful these birds are, and really here in Chattanooga we're so fortunate to have a place that's really easy to observe them. So if you have a chance to come around the greater Chattanooga area, you should really head down to the Chickamauga Dam in the spring so you can see these beautiful birds there. This video is 1080p, 30 frames per second, so I'm using a shutter speed of 1/60th, which is where you want to be if you're shooting 30 frames per second. ISO's at the minimum of 100, so I'm having to control my exposure with nothing but aperture. This is f/18. I just dial the aperture around until I start to see zebra bars. And then back it up a little bit. Here in this still, I'm not sure if the bird on the right is just a visitor or if it was trying to bother these birds, but I kind of like that picture. And here's one that features more of the birdhouse. I still don't have the whole birdhouse in it because the tree swallow is so small. It would be too small in the frame if I did the whole birdhouse. And this great blue heron had just swallowed a huge fish, and I failed to get the video of it swallowing the fish, but you can see it in that little shot with its neck huge. And here's a different angle of both birds. And you know, I'm filming this and they'll leave, and I love it when you're filming something and a bird flies back and lands during shooting of a video. It's easy to get video of a bird leaving, but getting a bird as it approaches and lands is a little bit more difficult. But with these tree swallows at the Chickamauga Dam, it's not that hard at all. They don't sit still for long, do they? Hello, welcome back. Today I've been using the Nikon Z6 with the FTZ adapter and the VR500 F4G with no teleconverter. So a lot of my video has been in DX mode, so that crops it down to a 750. Some of the video has been in FX mode, so that makes it a 500, and all the stills are 500 millimeters. That's going to wrap it up for me this morning. Had a nice time checking out the tree swallows. You know, they come here every spring, and you know, if you're a Chattanooga area bird photographer, you've got to come here at least once. I used to come here several times each spring, but that's probably not going to be my thing as much anymore. Maybe just once or twice is enough to get what you need. Especially the best time to come here is in the morning, because you'll have the sun at your back. I was thinking about there's an osprey nest that's pretty near here that a lot of the Chattanooga area photographers like to photograph, but in the morning, which is when I'm free on Thursdays to do photography, the sun is in your face, so the light's not good. So that's why I chose to come here today. I'm going to try to wait to go to that nest sometime in the evening when I'll have the sun at my back, but that's more difficult for me to find a free moment in the evening. So anyway, hey, thanks for watching this video. I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to come hang out with these tree swallows with me, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one. Bye-bye.